our respective indigenous peoples from all nations who call this land home. We honor traditional knowledge keepers past, present, and future, and now fans, we ask if you're able, please rise and remove your hats to the playing of our national anthem.
Hello and welcome inside the Lancer Dome here in Belleville, Ontario, where we have some OCAA women's basketball action. My name's Stephen Schill alongside John Ostrowski. Going into today's matchup, again, Loyalist is trying to continue their undefeated season at 14-0. Well, Redeemer is coming into this one again with the top seed coming over from the east, and Loyalist from the west with somebody that is closer to the bottom at 3-13. But let me tell you, right off the rip, we saw Redeemer poke that ball away. It goes straight back to Loyalist, but the height difference between these two squads is something that Loyalist has not faced throughout this season, so it's going to be a killer matchup. If you're from Redeemer, welcome, and hope you enjoy the broadcast. Vanny goes for a three. Going to be off the mark. Callahan trying to fight it under the basket there against Brugenhill. And John Ostrowski coming here off of the lineups again, just talking about Loyalists and having their undefeated season, and it was quite a pleasure to cover them throughout the whole year.
Absolutely. They've absolutely played team basketball all year, and they've been wonderful to watch. It's always we versus I, or we is greater than I with this team. That looks like a backcourt violation, but no call. Wow, the referees got away with that one there as a three-point shot goes up for Redeemer number 7. Not even close. That was Van Rout on the opportunity as Callahan pushes the break.
They're going to get into a double team there over to Lemaire, who takes a quick shot, and that's something that we're going to have to watch down the middle. It's going to be a rebounding contest on the side of Redeemer. Third in the OCAA is Talia Vrugdenhill with 12.4 rebounds per game as the shot is up from Redeemer and missed as Callahan coming storming down the court on the other way, waiting for teammates to come, thinking about a three herself, goes to Sophie Vanny, bobbles it for just a second. Vanny trying to pivot, goes out to Zashi Ventanilla, now to Forrester. Lancers hitting a ton of passes, and then Lemaire just running into a wall. They get a foul call. She tries to wipe off her nose there, but Kaylee Lemaire, 5th, compared to Vroogan's 3rd overall in the OCAA with 10.7 rebounds a game, so keep an eye on that throughout the matchup. Vanny looks to inbound, no points yet, just over 60 seconds played. Goes for Callahan, goes for a quick shot. Little short, Lemaire trying to fight for that rebound and pokes it back behind. Great play, Callahan for 3. Grace Callahan starts things off with a 3.
There you go, over a minute with no basket for both those teams, and Callahan really needed that one to fall.
And Vroogenhill just throwing it way ahead. It's Van Raalte now going against Forrester. Forrester trying to stay with her. Gonna get passed back. Vroogenhill now trying to fight through everybody. Callahan pokes it away. And that's another thing we have to watch from Grace Callahan, who's 2nd in the OCAA with 56 steals on the season.
Yeah, and these two teams met each other earlier on January 3rd in a non-conference matchup, and it was an unreal result for the Redeemer Royals. Taken to the absolute last possession, Loyalist was only able to win by a point, as there's a last-minute shot from number 12. Absolutely not the best look for Hoogland as Grace Callahan runs the break. But like I was saying, this Redeemer team seems to play the Lancers really hard, so they got to get out to a lead early.
And Lemaire grabbing that rebound. We're just talking about Callahan, thinking about that 3, trying to find Vanny. And again, Loyalist is great at the passing side, and maybe, excuse me, a little bit of a jinx on that. But going into this as well, Redeemer averaging about 55.6 points per game, while Loyalist is averaging quite a bit more than that at 77 points per game, as Redeemer again trying to get out of their own zone. And Lemaire really causes some extra pressure. It'll result in a foul.
Yeah, pushing foul there on Lemaire. It will be an inbound for the Redeemer Royals. Like I was saying, they really did play the Lancers hard, only holding them to 7 points in the 4th quarter of their January 3rd matchup, something that's unprecedented for the Loyalist side.
And again, keeping an eye on the height matchup difference between these two squads and how much of a part that it plays. Again, coming in this one, 3-13, not the greatest record for Redeemer. We got a ton of basketball to see, and it's one match elimination as they get the first points of the game. And Sophia Van Raalte, one of the rookies who's also a part of the starting lineup for Redeemer. Vanny looking for Zassi Ventimiglia. Going against 3 Redeemer players, trying to squeak that through to Callahan. Callahan's obviously on the ground now fighting for it, and it'll be a jump ball. Yeah, a bit of a sloppy pass there from Zassi Ventimiglia. You don't want that. And jump ball, I believe, is possession of the visitors. Oh, I was mistaken. I guess they switched the arrow too soon. It stays Loyalist possession, and Vanny will get the inbound here. Forrester trying to create an opening, but it's going to go to Callahan, who Callahan had one of the biggest uproars I've heard from the crowd here when her name was announced in the starting lineup. As Lemaire getting through everybody, throws it up, but it's going to be off the mark, and Redeemer's ball.
This might be a bit of what's more to come. Like I said, you got to go back to that January 3rd matchup to see that the Redeemer Royals really know how to play defense against the Loyalist Lancers. It's going to be a battle for every single bucket for the white jerseys today.
And I think on the defensive side, that's something to look at as well. Redeemer gave up 1,156 points on the season, while Loyalist only gave up 764 points.
There you go. The call goes the way of the Lancers. I believe that was a referee signal to charge there, and it looks like they're signaling for a substitution coming into the game now. Number 22, Ava Froze from Niagara-on-the-Lake, second-year player, taking out number 21, Vroogenhill.
And Forrester's going to inbound here. We've seen Forrester have a huge part to play throughout her career as a Lancer in her 3rd year. She finds Lemaire. Lemaire thinking about a quick shot and does it after a dribble.
Lemaire's one of the best contested pull-up shooters in the entire country, and she showed it there.
Van Raalte against Forrester. Again, huge defensive pressure throughout Loyalist all season. Going to try to keep it up today as Callahan almost stripped it. Redeemer still with it. Looks like they're going to go for a 3. They do so. It'll be off the mark. Who gets a rebound? Zasha Ventimiglia. Off that miss from Van Raalte.
That was a beautiful feed there.
And Callahan gets stopped from Ava Froze again, just coming off the bench moments ago. As the Redeemer bench is really excited about that one. But the Lancer Dome is packed. Again, potentially.
Oh, I thought she had that one.
Callahan going to be fighting for it. But today decides the fate as well if this is going to be the last game Loyalist plays here in the Lancer Dome, as next season it's going to be in a new gymnasium.
Yeah, it would be quite the letdown if that was the case. Coming into the game as the heavy favorites, the Loyalist Lancers at 14-0, the last undefeated team in the entire province. And it's been one heck of a season.
A historic season at
Absolutely. Oh, and good defense. Could be possible 8 seconds, but nothing there.
Lemaire trying to fight for it, realizing last second that they were also fighting with Froze. Ultimately, it ends up going off the Redeemer player.
Wow, it's going to be Loyalist ball. Yeah, that's a good bounce. You like that if you're on the side of the Lancers, certainly.
And in the final regular season game at home against Durham, one of the things that we noticed right away was this Loyalist was not finding their offensive options, not hitting the shots that they're used to. And again here, we're just about 4 minutes played, and still only 5 points on the board. And a miss comes from Sophie Vanny, but rebounded by Lemaire, who goes up. Redeemer's all over that, and this is something that we have to watch again. Under the paint, does Loyalists have to rely on these further out shots?
Yeah, only 5-2, been quite the defensive game for both sides as the Redeemer Royals attempt a 3, and they can't seem to hit anything. They can't get the lid off the basket, which is definitely a saving grace for the Lancers.
Yeah, it seems both teams are struggling here offensively as Vanny gets it under the basket, sees that double team coming through. Goes off a Redeemer player, rolling around the key now. It's outside. Vanny thinking about it. Has a lot of time to work with, to be honest, but Callahan just throwing up a 3, and both teams really just struggling to find their mark.
I'm not sure what that was. That's very uncharacteristic of Callahan. Wow. It seems like the Redeemer Royals defense really has our Lancers frustrated right now.
Well, that's something that, again, throughout this entire season, and to credit for Redeemer on their scouting or just growth spurts, but it's definitely something the Loyalists, there's been a couple players that we've seen that are quite tall, but not necessarily an entire team the size of Redeemer. And obviously we saw throughout the season, Loyalists won by quite a large margin for most of the matchups, but only beating Redeemer by 1 as Anderson tries to poke it away, and now it's going to be potentially another jump ball, grabbed by a Froze. Another shot goes up, and there'll be some free throws to come.
I guess she had to have clipped her on the call. I didn't see any. Personally, I didn't see any contact with the shooter's arm and the player who fouled, which was Lemaire in that case. But our vantage point is not the best, which is like what in and out on that free throw, which is like what Shill was talking about earlier. We hope that's going to change in the new Lancer Dome. It certainly will.
Well, I think also what we're seeing so far is quite a physical match between both teams. Obviously, basketball is physical, but it seems that everybody's just bouncing bodies off of each other as the basket is good from Froze as Vandy now comes up the floor. 5 minutes gone off the tip. Loyalist will inbound, and it'll be Forrester to do so. Again, 2 coaches in the 8th year in the OCAA for Redeemer, Jesse Van Houwelingen. And then for Loyalist, Caleb Hugh. Again, Caleb having a phenomenal season coming in this one at 14-0. Got a couple of new Lancers, again, announcing their commitment for next season as well, so excited to see what the team looks like then.
You definitely needed that if you're Vanny. Get to the line, draw the foul. Now you got to knock down at least one of these shots. But, yeah, Coach Hugh having a great season definitely has to be on the short list for Coach of the Year this season.
And Sophie Vanny with 166 points on the season, averaging 11.9 as the first free throw is through. And again, one of the biggest additions for this Loyalist squad, and I would make the argument as one of the rookies, Loyalist would not be in this position without Vanny.
Absolutely not. She's had, one heck of a season, especially second half, losing White after Christmas break, and she's really, really stepped up in that secondary scorer role, especially with Zashi Ventinilia, too, getting her back has been monumental for this Lancers side.
And Houwelingen goes for the shot, going to be off as Zondag tries to hit that off Callahan with some success. So Redeemer to inbound.
Yeah, this is not the type of game we saw at all this year in the Lancer Dome when seeing this Lancers team. Even when they play a close game, it's usually a little bit more run and gun, high scoring, and there's a nice basket. Number 22, Froze. No chance for Lemaire. 1 point game now, and we're going to see how Loyalist is able to play against this style. Kind of a slower, really use all the shot clock type team.
Vanny goes to Callahan. Back to Lemaire. Lemaire driving. Moses there. And Lemaire getting bailed out with that foul, but I think a little bit of frustration with just how good Froze has been off the bench.
And this is how the Loyalist Lancers are going to break down this defense, just drawing fouls, and you hope they make their free throws now. You have to in a game like this where every single point matters. As Lemaire gets set, the Sudbury product second-year player, and I might have jinxed her. Sorry about that one, everyone at home. And it's going to remain a 1-point game. 4:05 left to go in the first quarter. Of course, the Redeemer Royals come into this one at 3-13, but nearly defeated the Loyalist Lancers, only losing by 1 point on that January 3rd non-conference matchup. And
Lemaire second for the Lancers on the season with 182 points. This Grace Callahan beating that at 203. Zondag trying to find an opening, goes to Froze. Still looking for a pass-off, takes it herself, goes for the jump shot.
Beautiful, beautiful defense.
And Callahan's there trying to go quickly the other way is Vanny. It's a one-on-one, and she get the bucket off the backboard, a little bit too heavy. Redeemer with several players back. But it's going to go off of, I believe, Van Howlingen.
It's going to be a timeout for the Lancers, and we're going to take a couple seconds here and catch our breath, and we'll be back.
.337 left to go here in the first quarter. Loyalist is ahead 8-6, but my oh my, it has been a close contest. Vanny looking for an opening. Going to find Anderson, who's been stellar off the bench, going for a three. This falls off the mark, but Vanny's there for a quick rebound. Lemaire, it's double teamed almost immediately. Forrester. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Gives it to Vanny, goes for a quick shot off the backboard, and Loyalist is just not having much success shooting. There'll be a foul against Vanny. And Redeemer's already in foul trouble. Loyalist has some room to give, as we'll see Dana Zashi Ventanilla coming in to check in. It gets tipped on the inbound. Loyalist now quickly the other way. It's a 3-on-3. Anderson. That pass goes through and ends up kind of being near the shoulder of Abigail Holglen. And Anderson tried playing it, but it rolled out of bounds off Holglen. So Zashi Ventanilla out to Callahan. Back to Zashi Ventanilla, puts up a three, and there we go. Getting the crowd into it as well. Probably one of the quieter beginnings to a game here within the Lancer Dome. But it's needing the team to get things going. It's Froze. It's tipped. Froze again. It's Forrester trying to stay with her man. Lemaire has to take it over. The shot's no good. Froze tries to poke it up. And then a collision. This will be another foul against Redeemer. It'll be Sydney Lazenby. She's in her second year. It's her first foul of the afternoon. Lemaire's not able to get that one to go. 3 Lancers currently tied for points, depending on if Lemaire gets that. Never mind, Lemaire will now be in front at 4, but Dana Zassi Ventimiglia with 3 points, and Grace Callahan also with that over on the side of Redeemer. Save of Froze with 4 points. Another timeout on the floor. Going to be Redeemer to inbound, just checking down the stat line. Really got a shocking out of the Lancers, shooting 3 of 16. So just below 19%, which again is completely uncharacteristic for this team. But Redeemer seeing if they can try to catch up as Loyalist is ahead by double. 7 seconds on the shot clock. The 3 gets put up. Be off the mark. Hoagland on the miss. And now it's Dana Zassi Ventimiglia. Tries to bounce it to Anderson under the basket. It was draped over by Hoagland. He just tried to do that 3, but commits the foul on the other side of the floor. And I'll see Sophia Van Raalte, one of the rookies who started for Redeemer, and that'll also bring out Sophie Vanny off the bench, an equal rookie on the side of Loyalist, and that'll bring out Grace Callahan. Also seeing Ayana Tomlinson on the floor for the first time today as Nina Anderson gets the basket. And Anderson, probably one of the surprise stars of the year off the bench for Loyalist. Just in her second year. It was great in her first, but 145 points on the season. Which, if you look across the board, that is quite high for somebody that's traditionally been coming off the bench for Loyalist, but has a huge, huge impact. And Zassi Ventimiglia pokes it away, but the referee says that was a foul. Van Howlingen goes to inbound. Zassi Ventimiglia is there again. Trying to create the pressure. Froze up the floor. Lazenby trying to go through several Lancer players. Another foul call on the play. Feels the play is really just slowed down due to all these fouls lately. First couple minutes just felt like there was a bunch of missed shots and we were going back and forth, but slowed down a little bit. Both teams now at 5 fouls apiece. That'll send Lazenby to the line. She'll get the first. And missed the second. Anderson trying to fight for it. Somehow ends up with Redeemer off of an awkward roll. Tomlinson trying to stay her woman now on the 3 line. Lazenby tries to chuck it inside. He'll go off a Lancer player. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Not too many turnovers today. Royals only committing 3. Lancers with 2. Froze. Van Raalte. Back to Froze. Nice shot, Anderson. Finds Lemaire under the basket, and what a turn off the backboard from Kaylee Lemaire. And this is definitely something that we saw in that final regular season game against the Durham Lords, where Loyalists took quite a time to heat up, but once they did, it was good night. Froze. 60 seconds to go. Poked away from Lemaire. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Redeemer off the backboard. Gets the and one. Counted for Sydney Lazenby. Lazenby 1 for 4. Shooting free throws. As Vanny and Zasha Ventanilla will swap out. And Redeemer definitely came to play today as the and one is good. Can Redeemer get the stop? Forrester. Lemaire. Under to Anderson, and there we go. Again, just need a little bit of action and feeling confident after those missed shots early. Again, shooting less than 19% for the first 8 minutes on the side of Loyalist. And a collision under the basket. Van Howlingen. They're trying to see if it's a call that the ball just went out of bounds or if there's a foul call on the play. And it's going to be a foul against Anastasia Ventanilla. So making the argument, that's going to be her second. Going into the second quarter here, that's something to watch as both teams are significantly into foul trouble. Feels like almost everybody's going to have one or two going into the second, and we'll see what the bench depth is for both of these squads. Second free throw is good from Howlingen. 22.9 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Anderson quickly back to Lemaire. Lemaire goes for a dribble, but loses it. Picked up by Lazenby. Now 9 seconds to work with. Froze. Wanting to pass it off. Lazenby going for a deep three. And goes to her teammate under the basket who bobbles it. Maybe could have gotten one more shot, but Lancers looking pretty all right here in the first after a shaky start. Up 18-11. Second quarter action coming up. 18-11. The Loyalist Lancers are in the lead as Forrester looks to inbound. It's going to be Zassi Ventanilia. Again, wanting to come off of this with a little bit of confidence. Callahan, a quick dribble back the other way. Tries to throw it up. Another block comes through for Van Houwelingen. It's going to be a last touch on the Lancers. He passed ahead of Van Raalte. Raalte against Anderson. Anderson really sticking with her through the entirety, the length of the floor. Lazenby gets that screen set. Lazenby trying to look for a pass. Now the three's up. Can't get it to drop from Van Houwelingen. And throughout this matchup already, we've seen quite a lot of threes being put up from the Royals, currently 0 of 5. Zassi Ventanilia. Anderson thinks about it. Dribbles, walks into a double team. It's back to Stark. Stark with Zassi Ventanilia. Loyals needing to work quickly. Anderson decides just to take the shot. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Ball's all over the place here. Who's going to come up with it? It's going to be the Lancers. Callahan. Tries to find Zassi Ventanilia, but Froze is there just to intercept it. Didn't have to move at all. Zondag goes to the corner, gets it back. Lazenby, 0 for 3. Now 0 of 6 on the side of Redeemer as the referee says the ball touched the top rope of the basket. Angel all once. Checking in for the first time today for Violet Stark. It'll now be everyone off the Loyalist bench having played, apart from the coaches. All once. Callahan. Zassi Ventanilia. Driving, goes for a quick shot, skies it, and gets the basket. Lazenby up to Zondag. Angel sticking with her. Tries to beat around. Goes off the backboard and a quick bucket. Daniela Zondag and a fat pass ahead to Anderson. But Redeemer's there to stuff it back. Now all once. Off the backboard, off the bench, and good. Less than 60 seconds having an impact from Angel. Lazenby. Van Raalte driving. All once. Gets a hand on it. But they're going to say that it went off Redeemer. It looks like there's a little bit of an argument from Van Raalte. But the referee has a better vantage point than we do. All once. Called on a travel. Lazenby ahead. Takes the three. Falls just short. Excuse me, a moment ago I said that it was Froze that had that interception a moment ago, but it was Vreugdenhil on that 21 jersey, currently just in front of the basket for Redeemer. Callahan. Spinning. Then Zassi Ventanilia wide open for a three and nothing but net. Lazenby seems to want to do almost everything herself. Feels like saying her name more than anyone else. And for good reason as well. Lazenby with 225 points on the season, which is the most for Redeemer. And for comparison, Grace Callahan has 203. So Lazenby about 20 points more than Callahan on the season. She'll now shoot some free throws. Gets the first. And gets the second as well. Fewer foul calls here in the second compared to the first. As Dana's getting that screen, it doesn't even matter. As Forrester to Lemaire quickly off that 3-point line. Misses. Rugenhill. Puts up the shot, no good. Anderson on that rebound. Anderson looking for an option, but gonna stick with it and ends up getting it back herself as Callahan puts up a three, and Grace Callahan, there we go. Van Raalte. And this is where Redeemer's gonna end up wanting to pick up the pace, and we see that instantaneously as the substitutions looking to come in. They're needing to keep this game close. Rugenhill just throws it out of bounds. As the Redeemer coach is looking for a foul call. I'll bring in Sophie Vanny for Nina Anderson. Lazenby set to inbound. Van Raalte tries to find Lazenby after an initial drop. Gets the shot up, no good. Now a fight as Lemaire and Van Raalte come together via jump ball. And the pass is intercepted from Grace Callahan, again, who's second in the OCAA on steals on the season. She'll step out of bounds. And Howlingen. Van Raalte. Deemer getting a ton of passes out and goes for the three. And that's going to connect for Talia Vrugdenhill. Zessie Ventimiglia going to bounce that off Vrugdenhill's leg. And that was the first three of the game for Redeemer, currently shooting at 1 of 10 from those efforts. Lemaire. That's a nice footwork and a shot that is good. Loyalist up 30-18, 5 minutes to go in this first half. And Rowlingen goes ahead. Callahan trying to strip that away. And again, Callahan, one of the more aggressive players in the OCAA, but when it works, it works. As the Redeemer coach again is arguing with the referee. Going to see how much that plays a part here. Throw this matchup. It's been pretty consistent for the last about 2 minutes. Vanny. Callahan. Running into a wall, puts it back to Forrester. 5 seconds to work with. Loyalist needs to find something. Going to be to Lemaire. They need to get it up, and they don't find any time. And Redeemer on the defensive side of things, when they decide they want to play it, they are unstoppable. Redeemer just needing to figure out that offensive side of things. But again, going into this one, Redeemer having 889 points. Well, Loyalist on the season has only given up 764. The Loyalist defense can definitely match them. And earlier, the biggest problem for Loyalists was just straight up missing their shots. There was a couple blocks from Redeemer, but now Redeemer going to have some good defensive possessions. There's a foul called against Ava Van Howlingen. I'll see Callahan come to shoot some free throws. Callahan not having any free throw attempts today. Now I'll be shooting 100% so far. And 1 of 2 at the line. That's going to go off Vreugdenhil. And Vreugdenhil actually from Frankfurt and from Quincy Christian High School locally, but in her 4th year in the OCAA. Vanny. Callahan. This is Sassy Ventanilla, but the pass is a little bit too in front of Dana. It was off her hand and out. Van Raalte. Lazenby. Forrester really trying to not let Lazenby do anything. Hands it off, but then you're going to have to deal with Callahan defensively. Sticking with it, Callahan going for a strip. They're going to call a foul. That'll be Callahan's first. Then Howlingen goes back under the basket to Lazenby. There'll be another foul call. We got through the first half of this second quarter without too many being called. Now within the last 60 or so seconds, we're having multiple. As Callahan will then come out for Nina Anderson. Coach Caleb P. wanting to make sure that his star player doesn't pick up too many fouls here early. They're still in a super close game. As Lazenby gets the first free throw to drop. But not the second. Forrester scoops the rebound. Fires it ahead to Sassy Ventanilla. Back to Forrester. Vanny. Lemaire looking for a screen. Vanny uses it. Tries to get through off the backboard, doesn't get the roll that she wanted, but steals it back for a quick shot. I think that was a block off Van Raalte. Vreugdenhil is going to commit an offensive foul there against Forrester. Now we'll see Froze come off the bench, and that's going to be massive as Talia Vreugdenhil picks up her 3rd foul, and we're not even in the second half of the game. And Vreugdenhil averaging 17.3 points per game, and second for Redeemer with 184 points on the season. Sassy Ventanilla uses the screen. Back to Lemaire, off the backboard. Lemaire gets her own rebound. Goes to Forrester. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Vanny goes for it. Takes a bounce off the net and off the backboard. And it looks like there's a cut on the knee of one of the Redeemer players. Looked like they were going to pause for a second, but realized the ball was still active because no whistle was blown, even though it went over the backboard. The pass is through, and off the backboard, the other side, can be Van Howlingen. And again, they're going to have to go and check on that Redeemer player in Abigail Hoogland. We got some cut on her right knee just a moment ago. We'll see Ayana Tomlinson come in for Loyalist, and then for the injured player, Daniela Zondag. And we'll see a timeout from Redeemer. Loyalist up 31-21. Both teams sitting at 3 fouls a pop here in the second quarter. My name is Steven Schill, bringing you the action. If you're just tuning in, it's the Redeemer Royals taking on the hometown Loyalist Lancers. Redeemer at 3-13 on the year, with Loyalists looking to continue their undefeated season at 14-0. Lemaire to Anderson under the basket. Makes a spin and up and in. Nina Anderson. What a stud for Loyalists this season, as there's an immediate turnover. Sophia Van Raalte tosses it too far ahead of Van Houwelingen. Giving Loyalist a freebie if they can capitalize offensively. Vanny. As Lemaire is there trying to rip that away. Lemaire now on the shot, feeling a little bit of confidence with it, froze. Back to Van Raalte. Lazenby puts it ahead to Van Raalte under the basket, off the backboard, and Redeemer gets the point. Loyals with a bit calmer of a demeanor, if you will, here late into the second. Liana Tomlinson. Lancers in motion. Vanny goes for a three. And Sophie Vanny gets it! Van Raalte. Zondag ahead to Froze. Froze thinking about an option. Decides to pass it. Tries to do an underhand off the backboard. It misses initially, but Froze is there to put it away. Vanny. Over to Anderson. Goes for a three. Crowd was ready to pop if that was the case, but Anderson sanks that rebound, puts up another shot. It's no good. Anderson still trying to fight it with Froze. Van Raalte comes up with it. Now up the floor, Van Houwelingen. Zondag. And Forrester picks up a foul. First one is no good from Zondag, who's in her third year. Misses that. Lemaire. 35 seconds on the game clock. How does Loyals play this? Tomlinson gets a screen, goes for a quick shot. Bounces in and out. Lazenby. Shot clock and game clock is seconds difference, and took so long. The 8-second violation from Lazenby. Apropos with the name of Lazy, sort of, in it. But definitely not what they wanted to have happen. They were just trying to drum out the clock. And what a turnover. Couple seconds left, 36-25, 10 on the floor. 14.4 seconds on the game clock. Vanny. Forrester goes for a deep three. Rims in and out. Lance is trying to fight for it as Vanny goes flying into the side. Hopefully she's okay. I do not think that was needed. She's good. Love the extra, love the extra effort. But holy smokes, for just an inbound with 0.1 seconds on the clock, that would have been a travesty with all of the sound equipment and personnel in that side corner. With the 0.1 second left on the clock, it'll run out. Loyalist looking good heading into this second half and looking to keep their undefeated season up 36-25. We'll see you with second half action in a couple of minutes. Coming back for the second half action between the visiting Redeemer Royals and the hometown Loyalist Lancers. My name's Stephen Schill, bringing you the action today. Loyalist ahead 36-25 in a pretty shaky first quarter, honestly, for both teams. And when you're looking at the stats, really the only big glaring aspect is, well, for one, Redeemer's really struggling at the three-point line, shooting just 10% compared to Loyalist 41 at the three. And then the points in the paint, Redeemer actually leading by quite a margin, having scored 16 of their points in the paint with Loyalist only 8. We'll see if they make any changes coming into the second half as it begins. Redeemer starting things off. And at the end of that quarter, we saw Lazenby not under any pressure, but just taking too much time. Gave up an 8-second violation, which gave Loyalist another go for a point, as Redeemer will start this second with a turnover. Sophie Vanny wearing that number 6 jersey again. An unreal addition to this Lancers squad. They had a good year last year, but without Vanny, they would not be in this undefeated position. As Vanny takes a bump, puts up the shot, gets her own rebound on the miss. Anderson back to Vanny, looking with some confidence for the three. Misses that one too. Sophia Van Raalte up the floor. Hoagland lobs it ahead to Talia Vreugdenhill. That's going to go out of bounds off a Lancer player, so 12 seconds on the shot clock again. Vreugdenhill, 11.5 points per game. One of the offensive weapons for Redeemer. As off the backboard shot is off the mark from Ava Van Houwelingen. Vanny, the screen from Lemaire. Goes back to Lemaire on a quick little pass, and Lemaire just chucks it up, throwing her hands up afterwards, saying, "Where's the foul call?" Which, again, that's something we have to watch for Talia Vreugdenhill. I believe is on her third coming into this second half, who's now with the ball, trying to get around Lemaire and up and in. And Vreugdenhill third in the OCAA on rebounds. We brought it up earlier. Well, Kaylee Lemaire of the Lancers is in fifth. So that under the net basket battle is going to be huge, as Lemaire not able to get it to go. 36-27 in favor of Loyalist. Don't think we've seen Redeemer lead this one at any moment. Vreugdenhill for three. Off the back net. The Loyalist ball on the miss. Vanny. Anderson. Vanny decides to put up the three. No good. Vreugdenhill come flying through, grabs that rebound quickly in transition the other way. Hoagland misses. The Loyalist ball to inbound. Dana Zessi Ventanilla. Screen set by Lemaire. Gets it back, quick little shot, and good. Loyalist trying to keep up that possession. Callahan almost getting smoked with that ball. If not, she might have, but she's holding her forehead. But Callahan almost doing an airport security check defensively. Loyalist keeping that pressure. That'll be Forrester against Van Raalte. As Van Raalte dribbling, driving. There'll be a foul call here against Gwen Forrester. That'll be Gwen's second of the afternoon. Lazenby inbounds to Vrugdenhill, misses the shot. Callahan coming out with a head of steam, holy moly. Wanting to take it all the way and just does that. Grace Callahan, count it. And another foul immediately called here against the Lancers as they protest. And then it'll be Dana Zeshi's third. Vanny. Zashi Ventanilla. Off the backboard, doesn't drop. Vanny grabs it. Forrester wide open for three. Can't get it to fall. Gonna be Vrugdenhill. Lazenby ahead to Van Howlingen, and now the three gets put up from Van Raltia. And Redeemer just cannot get the three to fall today. That's Callahan with a head of steam. Too much weight. Van Ralti. Callahan trying to keep up with it. Forrester behind her. Trying to create that extra pressure, but Redeemer fine. As a three goes up and another three misses. I'm shocked that Redeemer has not talked about just not shooting any threes. It's really been their biggest downfall. Lazenby. Remember, we talked earlier about the points in the paint difference. With going into the second half, Redeemer having 18. Through that means as Callahan just puts her hands on her hip, takes a moment to breathe. Vanny. Lemaire. Vanny. Quick shot. In and out. Now the other way, Callahan cuts it off for another steal. And Zassi wide open for three and gets the basket. And judging by body language here, definitely seeing like everyone on the floor is feeling a little gas as we're seeing a couple substitutions coming through. It's been a back and forth contest. Poked away back. Two Royals still in possession. Going to be ahead. DeBoer. Lazenby thinks about it. DeBoer loses possession. It's going to be Lemaire. Trying to find an opening. Finds Callahan. Thinks about it. Tries to get a better position. Grace Callahan for three! DeBoer with a quick shot. They're trying to silence the crowd as you can hear Redeemer's bench get into it. And both of these squads as Anderson quickly off the backboard. This is what we're looking for, not the back-to-back misses. Let's see a little bit of action here on both sides of the floor. And again, Redeemer's season is done if they don't pick up offensively. I'll try to start that with a foul. And there might be an injury here. She went in between the two Lancer players, she being Sydney Lazenby. Slowly to get up. Looks like she just needs to take a moment. But keeping the fight, as we'll see Angel Allowance and Ayana Tomlinson come in for Loyalist. Lazenby, a second-year player in the OCAA. We've talked throughout the contest, but as she's been leading the Royalists throughout the season at 17.3 points per. That free throw is good. Anderson. Allens. Tomlinson back to Allens. Goes for a quick shot, little short. Rebounded by Vreugdenhill. Lazenby with a high three. Again, Redeemer can just not get any of those to drop. Callahan. Anderson. Allens. Trying to drive through. Going to be a foul call here, I believe, against Redeemer. As it took a second, wasn't sure if the referee was going to try to call some travel on that, but not going to be the case. I'll be just the first of the third quarter for Redeemer. This will be the latest they've gone before committing a foul. Loyalists with 3 team fouls. Callahan quickly for a three. No good. And now had the other way with some motion. Bobbling it just under the basket, but still with it. Zondag for three. And another three misses. Lemaire wanting to go all the way with it, but then gets stuffed at the last second by Sophia Van Raalte. Callahan on the inbound. Lines all once. Off the backboard and good. And again, just to recheck the stats for the Royals, 1 of 15. They're shooting just under 7% from three. Do they continue to try and get that to go? They do. And it doesn't drop. Noble puts it too far. Van Raalte tries to get it inside, but Al Once is there. Now in possession. Driving, throwing it up. Trying to look for that and one, but falling just a little short. Mullins going to fall short on that first free throw. And again, just to recap the game quickly in that first quarter, Redeemer kept things incredibly close, as is in the second. Loyalists won that first quarter 18-11, in the second 18-14, and so far here in the third, Loyalists in quite dominant fashion, 14-6. Now as a shot goes through to narrow the gap just a little bit, but this for sure has been the slowest quarter offensively for the Royals, with just under 2 minutes to go. This will be Van Raalte to shoot some frees. He's currently on 6 points on the evening, which is second for the Royals. Lazenby with 9 is in first. Forrester. Now once. But Forrester under the basket. One wasn't even looking to try to take that shot, just trying to find a teammate, and that's what it's all about. Lemaire takes it and gets the bucket. Lazenby. Lemaire takes the ball off her face and maybe her eye as she keeps wiping. That right eye looks like she's having a problem. And Coach Caleb Heo recognizing that immediately and bringing in Callahan to replace Lemaire. Looks like she's not going to need to get tended to, but just needs a little bit of a break for a moment. So back on in. As Tomlinson's there to block the inbound. Oil set to inbound. Callahan going to fight for that one, as is all once. Redeemer ends up sticking with it. Zondag, that extra effort. Redeemer still 5 seconds on the shot clock. Lazenby tries to just hoof it under that heavy pressure, looking for a foul call. Gets a thumbs up from the Redeemer coach of, it was a good try with what you had, as all once. Under pressure. Can't get it to go, neither can Anderson. Well, now it'll be Tomlinson trying to fight through. And Ayanna Tomlinson showing a little bit of emphasis on the offensive side. We know her for the defensive side of things. Of less than 60 seconds to go before we are in that fourth and final quarter. We'll count the basket. Somebody moved earlier on that line. That'll be Tomlinson's first point of the game. Lazenby. Froze trying to set that screen. Not wanting to be a reception of that 8-second violation from earlier. As it passes off. Lazenby goes for three. And the threes. I'd love to see what the difference if they just didn't do that, but Callahan storming up the court off the backboard, and Grace Callahan feeling good. Froze. Lazenby circles around, goes for a three again. Can't get it to go. They go for another three here. No, has to shoot, doesn't realize the shot clock is running out. Redeemer's bench wasn't paying attention. Oh my, what a way. But if you're a Lancer fan, you're feeling good. Up 57-33, fourth quarter coming up. (57-33), 10 minutes remain to see if Loyalist can continue on in the playoffs and continue this undefeated season. My name's Steven Schill alongside you. Hope you've enjoyed the action. As we see Ayanna Tomlinson driving It'll be too heavy of a touch. And Redeemer now back the other way. Redeemer having a couple players to add to their scoring front. Currently in the lead with 9 points is Sydney Lazenby. At 6 is Sophia Van Raalte. And then as well as 6, Ava Froze. And then on the side of Loyalist, 12 points apiece for both Kaylee Lemaire and Grace Callahan. And then 11 for Dana Zashi Ventimiglia. And also Kaylee Lemaire on the double-double with 10 rebounds. And on the rebound front for Redeemer, Ava Froze with 10. So just a couple more points for her. Then both teams will have a player with a double-double. 3 goes up. And that has been the biggest problem for Redeemer, that I am still in shock that they continue to try to go for the threes. Obviously, you're wanting to try to close down the margin here, but shooting about 5%, not a great look. Anderson. Forrester goes for 3. And that 3's off. Lazenby. Froze. Looking for somebody to pass it to. Get some assistance from Hoagland. And Forrester and Callahan really trying to keep up that defensive pressure, but will get called on a foul. Inbound to Froze. As Anderson's trying to poke it away, Froze is going to take it on the double team off the backboard and goes into the hands of the Lancers, Grace Callahan. A quick pass ahead to Kaylee Lemaire, who tries to put some style points and a spin on it. Hoagland. Lancers again trying to poke it away, but Callahan getting called as a foul, and Callahan is confused, as Lancers have been recipients of back-to-back fouls. And the first free throw is no good from Hoagland. And the second drops. Lancer substitution. Iana Thomas will come out for Dana Zashi Ventimiglia. Vanny. Callahan puts up the 3, and Grace Callahan gets it to go. Game looking to be out of reach at this point. There's a turnover from Redeemer, the side of Lemaire. Anderson to Callahan. Callahan, the nifty little move and up and off the backboard, picking up steam here late. Shots up and a miss from Hoagland, but on the other side, Froze is there to take it and put it in. Vanny. Anderson. Ball's loose. See what the referee has to say. Gonna go off of red. Give Vanny a chance to inbound, but Loyalist will take a timeout. Well, they're up 64-37. Loyalist set to inbound. Going to be Callahan off of that timeout. What did Coach Caleb Hugh draw up? Vanny to Anderson. Steps back. Goes for a three. Vanny's there on the rebound. Trying to get past Froze. Froze just had her left hand on there. I don't think she's really trying to trying to force that away. But a jump ball call nonetheless. Vanny. Callahan. Goes for a quick floater. And almost getting close to an 8-second violation. And a little bit of extra aggression here from both squads as the shot is missed from Lazenby. Now Anderson the other way. That'll be a foul committed by Vreugdenhill, which I believe that would put her on 4. If I remember earlier, I believe she was on 3. She was on 4, which will stay into this one as Redeemer's last lifeline. As a couple of substitutions are made. Again, Vreugdenhill going in this one with 184 points, 11.5 per, as Anderson gets a free throw. Can't get the second to go, but Callahan's there for the rebound. Thinks about it, knows the block's going to be there. Finds Anderson. Anderson too heavy on that touch. Picked up by Van Raalte. A wild pass ahead as Callahan tries cutting it off, but Holglen gets the basket. And Redeemer feeling like they got a little bit of life here late. Vanny. Azashi Ventimiglia goes for 3. Can't get it to go. Redeemer wanting to work quickly here as it's wide open. Passes ahead, able to stay with it. Holglen tosses it in the inside, but it'll be tossed to the Loyalist Lancers. And then given straight back. Poked away by the Lancers, so Redeemer set to inbound. Redeemer will make another substitution. Daniela Zondag from Smithville checks in. 6:03 on the game clock. Van Raalte. Vreugdenhill goes for 3. And off of a day of Redeemer really struggling from that. They connect here late in the 4th. Vanny. Off the backboard, misses. Vreugdenhill the other way. And again, we saw a match earlier between these two squads where it was just a 1-point differential the Loyalists took. Goes to show Loyalists has just really improved throughout this whole season. It looks like there'll be a timeout on the floor for Redeemer. be Abigail Hugland from Fredericton. Gets the point. Second doesn't fall. Forrester's there with it. But on that fight, it'll go off Hugland. So Loyalist to inbound. Vanny to Tomlinson, who's off her hand and out. Hoagland. Tomlinson fighting with it. Shots missed. A little bit of a push off there from Vroodenhill and gets the basket. Forrester. Lemaire. Anderson. Forrester gives it back to Anderson, who was not expecting that, and the pass was almost to Anderson's face. A Redeemer goes for a three. Doesn't go. Zondag here with the free throws. Trying to close the gap with just 4:26 remaining. Loyalist ahead to 67-46. Second shot is good. Substitution for Redeemer, Sydney Lazenby. Vanny. Lemaire. Thinking about driving, finds Anderson, who's open in the corner for three. Won't drop. Lemaire on the rebound to Forrester. Anderson. Vanny. Going for a quick shot. That Lazenby picks up. Getting out of their own zone. Van Raalte. Goes into a triple team of Loyalist. It gets called on a travel. Lemaire sets the screen for Vanny. Anderson. Goes to Callahan. Looked to be sort of a shoulder check coming through from Lazenby. Leaned into that one a little bit. Get called on the foul. That'll be your second. Loyalist inbounding. They also have 5 team fouls, does Loyalist. That's only the second. As a shot gives a turnover. .20 game with Loyalist in the lead. Been a very somber afternoon after it was so close in that first half. The Loyalists finally found their offensive rhythm as Callahan rips that one away. Lemaire. Anderson gives it to Vanny. Vanny dribbling. A lot of passing from Loyalist. Now out to Callahan. Callahan running into Zassi Ventimiglia. Gives Vanny a ton of room. Vanny goes for three. Can't get it to drop. Hooglin comes up with it. And Lancers trying to keep that extra defensive pressure. And under the basket, bucket is good from Talia Vrugdenhill. Callahan with a head of steam. Zassi Ventimiglia wide open for three and spins it around the rim. Shot is up and no good from Lazenby. But rebounded, now three from Vrugdenhill. Back-to-back threes don't drop. Zassi Ventimiglia. Callahan. To Anderson. Tries to put up the shot, gets blocked by Van Howlingen. And now on the other side, Vanny thinking about challenging that, but just letting Lazenby get the bucket. Less than 2 minutes to go. Zassi Ventimiglia for three. Drops just a wee bit short. Young and Mose now in for Redeemer. Vrugdenhill. Lazenby. Shots off, but Van Raalte gets it. Now trying to go up. No call on the play. Pass ahead to Zassi Ventimiglia. And now Lemaire to Anderson. Quick little tic-tac-toe for the Lancers. Vrugdenhill against Lemaire. To shoot some free throws, which is 1 minute and 1 second on the clock. Violet Stark coming in for Sophie Vanny. And earlier on, Redeemer put up quite the fight. Unfortunately, just due to the unsuccessful three-point attempts throughout this one. Again, going into the second half, they had so many points in the paint, way more than Loyalist, and then decided to kind of just rely on that three ball to stay in this game. And that ultimately led to the Lancers being able to increase their lead and really never let it go. Zassi Ventimiglia taking the screen from Lemaire, driving to the basket, whips it to the corner, and Callahan. Callahan puts up a three. Too far. Well, that'll do it for Grace Callahan as Ayanna Tomlinson and Angel Al once come in, and Anderson goes to the bench as well. First free throw from Megan Mosea. Doesn't go. But the second does. Al once. Trying to take it to the basket and get in the bucket. And that'll be 5 fouls for Vrugdenhill. Again, Vrugdenhill, one of the locals here to the Quinte area from Frankfurt. So foul out in this contest. We'll see Froze come in. And not once will score the bucket. Froze trying to put up a shot, but Loyalist not wanting to let anything slide and committing the foul on that play. Shot's good from Froze. One more to come. Gets it. Poked away from Lazenby on the inbound. And another poke away. I feel like Loyalist would end up just dribbling this out, but we're giving some extra time for the fun of it. Alwans will take it, just 2 seconds on the shot clock, and that's going to do it. With high expectations going into this one, Loyalist started off a little slow, but then did what they always do. Come out offensively, look strong, look confident, and are moving on while continuing their undefeated season, now moving up to 15-0. Congratulations to the Redeemer Royals and all their friends and family tuning into the broadcast. Hope you're proud of your ladies. They had quite an effort throughout this matchup, and realistically, I think this is a totally different contest based off those 3 points that just didn't end up falling. And to all the graduating players as well, best of luck, and thank you for your contributions to the OCAA. And of course, here, if you're tuning into the Lancers, get ready, because we'll have another home game here in the Lancer Dome. Have a phenomenal rest of your weekend.